Welcome back to the kitchen table of Silver Surfwax for Silver Surfwax Sunday. Looking forward to this video, guys. Today we're going to talk about the gold to silver ratio and specifically my strategy on how I plan to play the gold to silver ratio. So if this interests you, keep on watching, because we're going to talk about the sort of the practical effects and the theoretical strategy here of playing the gold to silver ratio. Now, as you guys may know, all 20 of you had voted on my poll. Because I'm finally a real boy. I'm a real YouTuber now. I passed the 1,000 subscriber threshold, and they allow me to do a little YouTube poll. And so we went ahead and we had a YouTube poll here, and indeed everybody voted. I said, hey, what video should I do next? And I said gold to silver ratio, or a new prepping item, or a correction to my Chris Dwayne rankings. And by far and away, 60% of you voted for gold to silver ratio strategy. So we're going to do that right away. Appreciate all of you who voted, all 20 of you. All right, so let's get to it. So you hear about people wanting to play the gold to silver ratio in their silver stacking strategy. And what does that actually mean? And so what I wanted to do here with this video is I wanted to have a visual display, a kind of an indication, not just on paper or not just with charts and graphs or spreadsheets, but in real physical gold and real physical silver and real physical fiat cash, what it is that it means to do this. And that from first a theoretical standpoint, and then second, the practical standpoint. So I'm going to go ahead and go through that, and let's do it. Let's have fun. So let's say we decided we wanted to buy a bunch of silver or gold with this ugly, nasty fiat currency. I mean, we'd normally just want to throw this in the trash. It's just paper. We'd maybe, use it for TP, but you know what? It gets us gold and silver. So we definitely want to trade it in for that. So let's sort of theoretically say that this $2,000 buys you a single $2,000 gold coin. Now we know right now gold is about 1,700. It had gotten as high as 2,000. It's been as low in my stacking career is 800. And so this gold price in fiat terms has fluctuated. But we are going to decide to go ahead and trade our gold or our cash in. We're going to turn it into this guy, and we're going to buy the gold for ourselves. All right, but we didn't need to just buy this one gold piece, this one gold coin with our $2,000 cash. In our hypothetical situation, instead of buying the gold coin with the cash, we're going to pick up 100 ounces of silver. And here we got 5 stacks of 20, right? So we got 100 ounces of silver. Let's just put that all, let's just like mess that all up. And, oh, geez, doesn't that look, is that satisfying? Is all that 100 ounces of silver look so amazing? Well, in our hypothetical situation, all of those are worth one of these. A little teeny gold coin. It's smaller in size, but the same weight as a 1 ounce of silver. But indeed, it is the same, in this hypothetical situation, USD value. We got 1 ounce of gold equals to 100 ounces of silver. What's our silver to gold ratio? Our gold to silver ratio? It's 100 to 1, right? 100 ounces of silver to 1 gold. So in our hypothetical silver ratio, we got a gold to silver ratio 100 to 1. All right. And we traded our fiat currency. We could either have gotten this or we could have gotten that. But we're choosing, in this example, to get the silver first. And so that's what I've done with my stack. I've got a lot of silver. I've got a decent amount of gold, but I've got a lot more silver. And so what is my strategy here? What is the theoretical strategy? So instead of buying the gold, I bought the silver. There it is. Let's push that all aside. And now we got a situation where we sit on it. We got it at 100-to-1 ratio. We got 100 silver versus 1 gold. But what happens if the gold to silver ratio goes down to 50, right? Gold to silver ratio goes down to 50. Well, I could go ahead. Let's say I went to my local coin store, and let's say he theoretically did not charge any premiums, and he theoretically did not charge any tax. But he would say, you know what? I will buy your 100 ounces of silver for 2 gold pieces. So this is where we have a gold to silver ratio of 50-to-1. So I got 50 got one gold coin, and another 50 got another gold coin. So when I had originally had gone ahead and attempted to purchase 1 gold coin with cash, right? I originally was going to purchase 1 gold coin with cash. When I purchased the silver, when it was 100-to-1 ratio, and then I swapped it for gold at a 50-to-1 ratio, what happened? I doubled up. I doubled up my gold. So now for this, essentially by sitting on that silver at 100-to-1 down to 50-to-1, I doubled up my gold. So theoretically, this is what we're trying to do, right? We're trying to increase our stack by purchasing silver when we think it's less loved and cheaper than gold, and then purchasing the gold when silver is more greatly loved and the gold is less loved, right? So this is what we're trying to do. Now, have I done this? No, I have never done this. I've never swapped in my gold for silver or my silver for gold. I've always just accumulated. So have I actually played the gold to silver ratio? I haven't. So, I'm still speaking out of a hypothetical situation here. But my plan is to do so. And so that's what I want to go into next. What is the specific strategy? Because as you guys know, I'm roughly have 5,000 ounces, right? I have a bunch of ammo cans with 5,000 ounces of silver. Each ammo can has 500 ounces of silver in it. And so what am I going to do to sort of maximize this ratio? Now, oh, by the way, what if the gold to silver ratio went down to 25? And I had taken this 100 ounces of silver and wanted to trade it in at 25-to-1 ratio. Well, what would happen? I would get 4 gold coins. So I would quadruple up, right? That sounds pretty good too, right? But maybe I should wait till the gold to silver ratio drops to 10-to-1, right? Is it going to ever drop to 10-to-1? I don't know. But if it did, what would I do? I would 10x up, right? I would have 1, 2, let's see, I'm going to make sure I didn't put too much gold here, right? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh man, I overpaid. Okay, so too much gold. So the idea being that I need to figure out a strategy to maximize my gold returns for the gold to silver ratio if I'm going to try to swap my silver in for more gold. And I need to figure out what I'm going to buy my silver at and what I'm going to set my silver at and sell it back for gold. What are my targets? How do I choose to hit those targets? And when do I decide not to sell it back? Not to get rid of it. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Man, I'm way overpaying. Look at this, guys. 1, 2, yeah. Okay, so there's a 10-to-1. So ideally, if it came along and this all of a sudden, let's say massively tomorrow, the gold to silver ratio went 10 to 1, and I have 5,000 ounces, right? And would I turn in all my silver for all of that sweet gold? I think I would, yes. So what I want to do, so that's the theoretical situation. And what I want to go through is sort of a stanchion or a couple of strategies and articulate what strategies I think are going to work and how to make that decision. So let's get to it. Okay, here's the gold to silver ratio chart. And what I want to draw your attention to, if I can get my finger in there, is we got stuff going back to 1967, 1968 and time frame. And you can see over here that at its lowest in most recent memory in the last 30 years, the gold to silver ratio has gone below 20, right? It's gone down below 20, down in the 15 range. But in the last 30 years or so, hasn't really 50 years, hasn't really gone much further than that. So it never hit that 10 to 1 ratio that I was dreaming of there, right? And then what are you seeing over, if we kind of zoom in here to, just in the last 20 years or so, we see that we're kind of hanging around in this 50 to 60 range, aren't we? I mean, there's some highs here up at 100 to 1, like in my theoretical example where I hit 100 to 1. Another up here, almost 90 to 1, 80, 85 to 1. And we've gotten down here down to 40, down to 30. And oh my gosh, last year, March, way up to 125 to 1, right? We hit that gold to silver ratio, 125 to 1. In fact, you can go back to that time frame of last year and see that I have a video, I think it's Back Up the Truck or something like this, where I went and purchased several $1,000s when the gold to silver ratio hit up here above 120. And what did I do? Bought silver, right? Now, since it's gone up to 120, it has fallen down to 66. Fallen is good in this particular case because all the silver that we purchased when it's above 90, above 100, above 110, above 120, if you bought any silver above 120 like I did last year in March, April time frame, then it is nearly doubled. I could sell that silver and double it in for gold at the 66 gold to silver ratio. So pretty sweet, right? Well, I'll tell you what, I think, here it is, right? What happened here back in the 2011 financial crisis when silver was going through the roof, the gold to silver ratio got low. And what has happened since the 2010, 2011 timeframe when this was at the lowest bottom? It has steadily increased all the way up here until the year 2000. So what I'm kind of banking on, and I'm going to go use my arrow here to stop it. Let's zoom in on it, right? What I'm looking to do here is I've been investing in silver this entire time, and as it's been coming up here, and even as it's been coming down here, it's still above 90, right? And my strategy is to start selling as it hits 50 to 1 ratio. I expect it to get down to this ratio here. So once it gets 50 to 1, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to sell 500 ounces of silver. That's my plan, right? So 500 ounce, a whole ammo can, gone, right? And at 50 to 1, what am I going to get? I got 500 ounces, so I'm going to get 10 gold coins per ammo can. Right now, if I went in and tried to do that, I would not get 10 gold coins. Now, in reality, what's going to happen is that I might not get a full 10 gold coins, or I might have to wait till the ratio actually goes lower than 50, because the dealers or the folks that I'm going to sell to, if I try to sell my silver to anyone for cash, and then I try to go buy from the dealer, he's going to charge his 5% or 10% premium on the gold. He might, if I go to the local coin store, they might not buy that gold for the same price, so they're going to get me a lesser price. So for me to get the 10 gold coins out of an ammo can, I'm gonna have to really work it there. I'm gonna have to figure it out. But now, what would happen if I sold all of my silver at the 50 ratio? Well, if it went down to 40, then I could have got more. I could have gotten an extra several gold coins per ammo can. So maybe I should create a ladder, right? And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do a little spreadsheet, and I'm going to explain to you guys, some of these different scenarios. What if I sold it all at 50? What if I sold it all at 25? What if I sold it all at 10? Oh, I'd get a lot of gold if I sold it all at 10. What's the likelihood of it going down to 10? Well, in 50 years, it hasn't gone down to 10. Went as far as 15. So there's no telling at what time this is going to go and if it'll actually get down there and it gets below 30 or gets below 40 or gets down to 30. You never know when it's going to turn around and come back up. So this is a guessing game. You don't know the future, trying to figure out the best times to sell and when you want to part with your silver, if you want to part with your silver. In my case, I'm going to sell probably my 10-ounce bars first. I'll sell my large silver, and then I'll sell my rounds, and then I'll keep my fractional silver till we get down to the 30s and the 25s and the 20 and the 15s, and then I'll be selling the dimes for gold, because at that point, I'll be at the very end of my stack. But I kind of wanted to run the numbers on how to play this gold to silver ratio. So I'm going to come back at you with a couple of spreadsheets and graphs to explain, a couple of strategies and situations where how you might think about maximizing your investment return. Okay, welcome back. So yes, let's go through a couple gold to silver ratio examples just to kind of get this dialed in, or to reiterate this particular situation. So if the gold to silver ratio got down to 50 to 1, and I decided to sell all of my silver, what would I end up with? Well, I'd end up with 100 ounces of gold, right? That'd be pretty sweet, 100 ounces of gold. I only got 30, 33, 34 plus ounces of gold right now, so increasing my gold stack to 100 ounces would be pretty sweet. However, and then there is a concern that we'll never hit the 50 to 1 ratio, right? It's, as we saw before, it hasn't dipped in the, back to the 50 to 1 ratio, except for back in 2011. It's been, nearly a decade since it's gotten that low, and it hasn't gotten much lower than that for the last 20 or 30 years. But maybe we decide to hold out, right? Maybe we're like, all right, that's not good enough. I don't just want 100 ounces of gold. How about I hold out to the 25 to 1 ratio? Oh, that would be amazing, right? I'd get 200 ounces of gold. Sell 5,000 ounces of silver at the 25 to 1 ratio. I'd get 200 ounces of sweet, sweet gold. So that'd be fantastic. The only problem is, as we saw back from the prior chart, we haven't been down in the gold to silver ratio of 25 to 1 since the 80s, right? So our likelihood, our likelihood of hitting a gold to silver ratio under, there it is, there's the 30-year chart, right? 30-year gold to silver ratio. When have we been in the 25s, touched maybe 30, but it's been way before 92. Back in the 80s, we hit 25 to 1 gold to silver ratio. So we're talking about 50 years since we've last been there. So you almost have a zero chance at this particular stage in the game. You know, a 50-year history, maybe it's not zero chance. Maybe, you know, listen to all the people, the fourth turning, the whole 100-year cycle, the whole reset. Maybe we're going to hit the gold to silver ratio of 25 to 1. No problem. All right. Well, you know, I don't know how optimistic or how pessimistic you are of whether we're going to return to a 25 to 1 ratio. So if we're maybe we think it's going to even go down to 10 to 1, right? And there we are. I would get 500 ounces of gold if I waited around for the 10 to 1 ratio. You know, we haven't been down to the 10 to 1 ratio pretty much ever, right? Back in even as far back as before the Fed was established, you know, we were up there in the 14 and 12 and 16 to 1 ratios. But maybe this 100-year reset brings us back to 100 to 1. But are you going to bet the farm on it? Are you going to wait? Are you going to sit on all your silver, trade none of it for gold, and wait for the 10 to 1 ratio? What is the likelihood you're going to be able to hit that particular bottom? So in my mind, you've got a set of, you know, a maximum of getting that 500 ounces of gold. And that to me is maybe a very unlikely situation. So what I'm interested in doing is selling at increments. And here in this particular hypothetical example, if I sold 500 ounces or 1 ammo can, when it hit 50 to 1, well, I'd get 10 ounces of gold out of it. If I waited and sold the next ammo can at 45 to 1, well, I'd get 11.1 ounces of gold out of it. And the next ammo can, and so on, right? And I've got 10 ammo cans to sell. And as it gets lower and lower, the 40 to 1, I'm getting more and more gold, going from 10 to 11 to 12 and a half to 14 to 16. And even when it gets down to 25 to 1, I'm getting 20 ounces of gold per ammo can, where I used to get 10. But this starts adding up together, and it starts becoming more profitable the more I hit down into the 20 to 1, the 15 to 1, the 10 to 1, and even the 5 to 1. And so what ends up happening, if I actually got down to the crazy 5 to 1 gold to silver ratio, even below the natural amount of ratio in the crust of the earth, then I would, I think, maximally end up with, 292 ounces of gold as I played this thing all the way down. I may never get down to 5 to 1, may never get down to 10 to 1, may never get down to 20 to 1, but I'd be fine playing the gold to silver ratio, because it could oscillate up and oscillate down, oscillate back up to 60, oscillate up to 70 again. You just really don't know. So my strategy to try to sell gold or sell silver for gold is to sell in increments and have a plan. Once I hit those targets, to go ahead and execute. And I'll probably sell my larger denominations first and my fractional, the smallest fractional, very last. So my dimes probably selling here, my quarters maybe in there, my $50, and my rounds and my bars up in here. So that's kind of my gold to silver ratio strategy. And that's what I think is going to work out for me. And hopefully, we'll get to the point where I get to here, maybe even here. Be pretty exciting if it got down to 40 to 1. Get pretty tempting, right? All right, guys. So go ahead, like and subscribe, comment, and see is this the kind of strategy you guys are using? Are you planning on playing the gold to silver ratio? Let me know in the comments below, and I will see you on the next video.